We believe that to be a seeker, we have to look a certain way, talk a certain way, wear clothes a certain way. We take on all sorts of erroneous belief systems and practices. And oftentimes, our spiritual seeking becomes all about the outside and how it looks like outside us. But true to the science of Vedanta, everything begins and ends inside. And is it working? Can you hear that? No life. Hello, hello, testing, testing. That's how they say it in India. Hello, hello, testing, testing. Do you say it like that here also? Yeah. Often during Navratri, they set up large idols of Devi Durga at every street corner with blaring microphones, and then at 4 a.m. they say, hello, hello, testing, testing. Very loud voice. It's very interesting. Hello, hello, testing, testing.
No one unplugged anything.
आदौ नित्य नित्य वस्तु विवेकः परिगण्यते यमुत्र फलभोगा विरागस्य तदनन्तरं समादिष्टक सम्पत्तिर्मुमुक्षत्वम् इति स्फुटम् ब्रह्म सत्यं जगन्मिथ्ये एव रूपो विनिश्चयः सोऽयं नित्य नित्य वस्तु विवेकः समुदाहृतः तद्वैराग्यं जिहासाय दर्शन श्रवणादिभिः देहादि ब्रह्मार्पण्यन्ते ह्यानित्य भोगवस्तुनि विरज्य विश्यव्राताद् दोषदृष्टया मुहुर्मुहुः स्वलक्ष्ये नित्यावस्था मनसा शमोच्यते विषये भयपरावर्त स्थापनं स्वस्वगोलके उभयेषामिन्द्रियाणां सदमः परिकीर्तितः बाह्यानालम्बनं वृत्तेर एषो परतिरुत्तमा सहनं सर्वदुःखानाम् अप्रतीकारपूर्वकं चिन्ताविलापरहितं स तितिक्षा निकथ्यते शास्त्रस्य गुरुवाक्यस्य सत्यबुद्धयवधारणं सश्रद्धा कथिता सा सवीर्यया वस्तुपलभ्यते सर्वदा स्थापनं बुद्धेः शुद्धब्रह्माणि सर्वदा तत्समाधानं नित्यं मुक्तं न तु चित्तस्य लालनम् अहंकार अहंकारादिदेहान्तान् बन्धान् अज्ञानकल्पितान् स्वस्वरूपावबोधेन मोक्तुम् इच्छाममुक्षता. So they are talking about the qualities of a true aspirant, and we discuss in the Shloka 19, they briefly enumerate all of them, and they say first is listed discrimination, as you know, Viveka, between unchanging and changing. What is unchanging? What is changing? Unchanging is the self, changing is the world. And after that, dispassion or vairagya. Naturally, once we recognize what is eternal and what is non-eternal, only then we can basically step away from our blind attachments to what is changeable and we can move towards what is unchanging. And here it is written in the shloka, but we are doing this exact thing all the time, because for example we fall in love, for example, and we become obsessive and we lose our capacity to think, and we become slaves of a certain person. Have you all gone through it? Okay. And after a while you base everything according to that outer person, and later when that person gives you a kick in the X, then what happens is that time we realize that this outer relationship is very changing, and my inner relationship is the one that I should cultivate. Yes? So some discrimination has occurred, but how? Through suffering. But the difference in satsang is that you can have learning at the feet of the teacher. You can understand the conceptual fact that we are actually all having to go through this process. This process is the most natural, that you have to first perform. If you don't have it, the life will make you have viveka between what burns you and what doesn't burn you. When I was a child, I wanted to play with fire. So when my mother was asleep, I stole the matchbox. And I went outside to the balcony, we call it balcony, and I had my hearts full of striking it and dropping it, striking it and dropping it. I felt so pleased. However, in the one but last, it burnt my finger. Then I yelled for my mother. My mother gave me a tight slap. And since then, I never played with fire. Okay? So until we know we play with fire, but after we know we don't play with fire, we respect it. Are you understanding? So one is, first is differentiation, and second is vairagya. Vairagya is misunderstood many times, so I won't go deep into it. I've been talking about it. This whole book is about vairagya if you keep coming. But vairagya simply means that you detach from what is unreal, and only by detachment and stepping away can there be room for us to attach or get engaged with, or our attention moves towards what is real. Otherwise, we close our eyes and we try to attach to our sense of self, and we say, now what was it? How am I supposed to breathe? What am I thinking for? What am I looking? This is getting really boring. Or I need a new meditation teacher, or I am going to pay for another class, and etc. etc. Or I fall asleep. So it's only when we disengage can we look within. So the second one is called vairagya. And then after that there is Shadha Sampati, which means it is six virtues. They are very important, and we are going to talk, we are talking about them. And these Shad Sampatis we are going one by one. And so the third point is broken up into 6. And then the fourth one is the Mumukshatvam, which is the intense desire for spiritual knowledge and spiritual realization. One is the information, pedagogic, and the other is you want to be part of the truth. You want to participate in it from inside out. And the more one wants the truth, and one wants only the truth, when one wants to experience and ask those fundamental questions of who am I, why am I, at that time, we are now really going to be able to open that door. Until such time that we ask questions like, why am I not looking prettier? Why am I not thinner? Why am I not in a relationship? Those are important questions also in the day-to-day life, but they do not lead to the experience of the deepest truth. Are you following? And here we are talking about who is a spiritual aspirant. So we have already covered a few things, such as we have covered discrimination part, and we'll keep talking about it. We have talked about vairagya. Last time we talked about shama, which means now we are in the third part, which is Shadha Sampati, and we are talking about its 6 legs. So we have talked about shama, which is control of the mind. Shama, I told you, is a root word, and we can consider it as some kind of a pacification of the mind. This is very interesting, these 6 virtues. We can say one leads to the other, or we can say that at the end it can come back. They are all interconnected. Okay. Then we talked about Dhamma, which is basically Dhamma has been, I can read you the exact English. which is shloka number 23, which says the establishment of the senses, each in its own source, by means of turning away muhurmuhu again and again from their objects, is known as control. The supreme restraint is in the mind function and not being involved in anything external. So, one is the mind, where again and again we bring the mind back from its dwelling upon what is unreal and what is transient and what is changing to what is eternal, what is permanent, and what is non-changing. And it's an actual sadhana. It doesn't happen in like, it doesn't happen in like, okay, I'm going to sit on my yoga mat in front of my altar, wear my beads, and wear my meditation shawl, and now I will do it. It's almost like moment to moment. I've been raising my dog for 10 years as my own child, and yesterday, in the middle of a party for children, I came to know that he has cancer of an aggressive kind, and he will live only for a few more weeks. And, okay. And I was cooking and I was cleaning and I knew this, and my dog was, looking at me, and so I had to be in the state of again and again taking my mind to, my mind said, oh, my baby. And the next moment was, my baby is getting ready, or is already healthy. And if we speak from Vedantic point of view, nothing has happened. And there is just a continuation of what is eternal. You follow? And hence, a part of me can be the proactive mom, and a part of me can be a dispassionate, detached witness. Are you following? So it's not like, okay, well, when I teach it, it's going to happen. It's like, it has to happen now, 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 now. That is sadhana. So shama. And from shama, when we pull the mind, after a while we realize only when the mind is more pulled back inside, then the next part, which is dhamma, which is control of the senses. And here we hear from the shloka that these 5 gross senses, 5 jnanendriya and karmendriya, they are 5 senses through which we get knowledge internally, like our eyes, ears, nose, you know this. And then there are 5 senses, karmendriya, which work upon the world as a result, and mind is the boss. After we have been pulling back from what is unreal into the real, we realize that, oh my God, it's these 5 doorways. They get knowledge in, and boom, my mind reacts through the other 5. You follow? And so we start pulling back the senses into their source. And where is their source? The mind. Are you following? First we bring the mind from the world into its receptacle, which is inside. Got it? And then this mind has these, imagine these 5 receiving doors and 5 acting, arms and legs, right? So they are very active, hyperactive and reactive. So it's only after that we start pulling in the senses. So we might notice that we were about to talk and we fell silent. We were about to slap, but we pulled our hand away. Or we were about to overly touch for no reason, and we pulled it away. Are you understanding? We were about to eat, but we realized that the tongue is just, it's on a leash, and it's pulled back into its receptacle. Now some people think that we can control the senses alone. So they sit with their tongue up, and they say, okay, this will control me. I am doing kriya, and 30 days they put their tongue up. And the day the 30-day ends, they have proclaimed to the media, for 30 days I'll put my tongue up. I am a yogi from the great Himalayan tradition. And what do? I put my tongue up. I have such control. And people are like, oh, great, Swamiji is great. But the moment the 30 days over, tongue comes down, oh my God, I'm so tired. Why? Because prior to that, the shama function was not achieved. So mind first, then senses. Because it is only the mind that can control the senses. Are you following? After that, when a mind is again and again brought back to its source, which is the soul, the master, and it rests in that. After that, the senses start calming down. And the first thing we see in a spiritual seeker is that they are more poised. They are more, they're not grabbing at the food. They are not grabbing at things. Everything, their senses have become calm. Are you following? Their intake is calm and their expression is calm. That is Dhamma. The third virtue, are you writing this, is Uparati. What is Uparati? Uparati means that the senses contained in the mind contained in itself, in the master container by the self. It's my equipment, I'm going to control it. It's my equipment, I will control it, okay? Uparati is continuation of this over some time. Continuous, next moment to next moment. Uparati is like I have written, I'm writing from my own book. When a person has practiced Viveka, discrimination, what is real, what is unreal, what is transient, what is permanent. One has Vairagya, one has moved towards what is eternal. One is controlling, or is one bringing the mind back to its source, like with a capital S. And then as a result, the senses are coming in. Uparati is a state of, a kind of a contentment to be at ease with this kind of practice. Are you following? And it is a continuation of this. And so what we will evidence in such a person is like a state of peacefulness will descend upon the person, and a state of ability to, I had mentioned last time, not get so, is there a word called flabbergasted and frustrated? Huh? Flabbergasted you use, what does it mean? Shocked. Okay, so it will not get so flabbergasted, shocked, frustrated by the turning wheel of joy and sorrow, winters, life and death, abundance and decrepitude. Huh? Huh? That one, yeah. So life is a revolving wheel of these things. Sometimes we are full of life and people, company. Sometimes we are sitting alone, not being able to share our pain. But the person who has now reached the state of Uparati starts actually practicing composure in the middle of a fiction of this changeability, which is the law of life. They will not be found saying, very ridiculous things like, why me? Why only me? I can say, Arey, what is this? I founded this low-cost clinic and this clinic and that clinic, and why only my dog had to get this? Arey, theek hai, the dog has its own karma and we have cooked food for him and he's a healthy, happy dog, and maybe it is time for him. And I will start some Ayurvedic treatment for him, and so be it. And I am very sorrowful and I will miss his physical presence and I am devastated, and yet I am going to be composed. Are you following? So it's like it's a practice. So this person will, one who has reached the state, who has Viveka, discrimination, Vairagya, detachment from what is transient, body is transient, so it's a constant practice, and then has Shama, Dhamma, will reach a state of Titiksha, and Titiksha, the person will be more steadfast in the middle of day-to-day living and will avoid this kind of entanglements, So they will, in Titiksha, in Uparati, one stops looking at the world only from a worldly eye. One starts like having some kind of recall of the larger spiritual truth. And the satsang that we are getting at the feet of the teacher, by the way, this knowledge this whole process is only possible through the close contact between teacher and student. It is nowhere otherwise possible. So whatever knowledge we are getting through satsang keeps coming back to us, and in the moment of change and difficulty, it is like a solace as well as a reminder that we are spiritual beings, and that we live in the world not only as Jiva, the adaptive self, but as Atman, the supreme self, which is none other but Brahman, the absolute self. Those of you who are regular attendees know what this means. Those who are new, if you keep coming back, you will learn more and more about that. Only a person who is reaching the state of uparati, where we find that there is a death, there is difficulty, there is bankruptcy, and the person is maintaining a reasonable level of composure. I mean, tomorrow when my dog passes, I will write to you. I'm not coming to Vedika because Shunya needs to console Pratichi, and Pratichi is crying a lot. And even this morning I cried. But that doesn't mean that it's the end of my world, and only in the state of uparati can we think, okay, what is karma yoga? Dedicated activity. So what is my karma yoga? I have taken sankalpas to help make Vedika happen. So that's what it's going to be. What is Jnana yoga? I have taken the sankalpa that I will not live here like a reactionary puppet, but I will use knowledge to navigate my life. What is Bhakti Yoga? I will continue having trust in the Supreme Truth. And so therefore, only then we can practice these things. Otherwise, if we are not having this practice, then what happens is all is well till the problem hits us. And then we say to the Guru, look, if you were a real Guru, first of all, I would not have had these problems. It looks like you are under-mature and under-spiritualized. Because according to those people who are with that Guru, they are having a smooth ride. No, any Guru who says you are going to have a smooth ride, come to my Sharan, is not teaching the truth. They are just selling you spiritual candy. Yeah. Anyway, then after that, we have the concept of titiksha. What is titiksha? This is an attitude of forbearance. And forbearance, is like uparati. Uparati is maintained calmness, and titiksha is like this. You have learned about dhi, dhriti, smriti, or the concept of dharan or forbearance. One of the reasons we have insanity, depression, and anxiety, according to the science of Ayurveda, is because we know everything, but we can't tolerate. We can't just endure difficulty. You understand? Like endurance power is low. So we complain very quickly. We whine very quickly. We just can't carry a load. And I'm very sorry to say that, especially in the West, I have seen that endurance power is very less. Why? Because from childhood you have food, clothes, and Barney. And Sesame Street and this wonderful world. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the children in fourth world, third world, where I have come from, people have a lot of endurance power. Because you get up in the morning, there is no electricity. Often you go for a shower, there is no water. You come down, the street is broken. Okay. School, there is no library. So people have to endure a lot of hardships. And as a result, they have more endurance. Whereas people who have material abundance from the beginning have a lot of fragility. You understand? And so they complain quickly. So what happens is that in titiksha, the dharana shakti or the endurance power becomes our supreme strength. And then such a person says, somebody, that this difficulty is coming, and the spiritual person will say, so they'll say, so what is your plan? Have you talked to an astrologer? Have you made up a 5-year plan? And the spiritual person will say, no, I'll endure it. Wow. It's a shakti. It's a power. To just eat it. To endure it. There is a Puranic lore. We have many tales of gods, which are actually teachings. So they say that when the gods and the demons were churning the great ocean of existence, what came out first was called halahal, poison. And this poison was going to overtake the Srishti or the universe. And so everybody ran to Lord Shiva to say, help us, help us. Shiva is a very popular god, he helps in the Puranic setting. So he came and he drank that poison. But he neither digested it, he neither vomited it. Like, oh my God, how dare you? You invited me to a poison party, Nor did he digest it, said, oh, I've turned bitter now because I drank the world's poison. No, he just kept it in his throat, right here. He contained it. And that is why and it turned blue. And that is why he's called Nilakantha, the one with the blue throat. So it's called containing. So when people hit us, stab us in the back, when difficulties come, when your heart is breaking, when you're about to lose your loved one and there is no relief and no reason, and you, what do? I will endure it. So it comes with, ability to do Viveka, Vairagya, Shama, Dama, Uparati, and then comes Titiksha. So in a way, if you think about it, when you are able to endure, then you are able to deal with the dualities of the world. And therefore, because of dealing with dualities of the world, you are able to better control your senses. And when the senses are controlled, the mind is peaceful. When the mind is peaceful, disengagement can take place. When disengagement has taken place, the peak of Viveka. So if you go back. Are you understanding? So it's not just a one-way train. They are connected. And a lot of the time, when we don't have titiksha, we don't have ability to endure and forbear, what happens is when somebody hurts us, we want to hurt them back. When somebody manipulates us, we want to manipulate them back. We get caught in the fire of revenge and anger, and and we just create more of the getting caught up, if I may say so, and it just never frees up. Whereas one who has knowledge and is working with this process of purification and becoming an aspirant, when unexpected difficulties come, they will endure and not be reactive as a result. That is titiksha. Then there is shraddha. Shraddha means, this is the fifth virtue, shraddha. Can you say shraddha? Shraddha. It means faith. It is an unwavering faith in the sacred scriptures, what we are teaching, and in the ethical codes, dharmic codes, and the teachings between the guru and the the Atman of the Guru and the Atman of the Shishya. In this tradition, the Guru is a very important resource for us. Guru can be tested if they are teaching us knowledge which is setting us free without asking us minute to minute for a return. Somehow there is one soul which is invested in our growth and freedom. And every time we encounter this Guru, we somehow become like more clean inside, So we are grateful to this person and we are asked to trust this person. First we are asked to examine the person. We have a concept called Guru Pariksha. So we are not asked to worship anybody who says, look, I'm your Guru. And you can sign up at the front desk. A Guru is one who may be just an ordinary householder, school teacher, some bus driver. You understand? Or somebody who is an acharya or, a guru of an ashram. Doesn't matter. But the point is that Atman is found to be benefiting my Atman selflessly. Using not anything else but the same Vedic Marga Parata, that path of clarity. And this person is called Guru. And then the Shraddha develops. And then when the Guru says to that person that, look here, you have to be in sexual abstinence for 2 years. For example, if somebody says, if the Guru says you have to be sexually abstinent, even if that person is married or whatever, and a Shishya at that time has to blindly become sexually abstinent. And that is why, but, actually, no, that. But if that just person follows it, what will happen is life will change. Are you understanding? And some of you have done that. So, this Shraddha. But otherwise, the student is argumentative, student is following 1/4 of the recommendations, but 3/4 of their own ego and mind's creation. What happens is, because there is no Shraddha, so there will be no titiksha, no endurance power, there will be no uparati, there will be no dhamma, shama, if you go backwards. Why? Because even though the guru or the genuine person who is working for 50 other people, 500 other people, 5,000 other people, when it comes to you, you are given advice but you don't follow because you lack Shraddha. But there are people who have 100% Shraddha. Such as, I can give you an example that if we have Shraddha in the whole concept of Vedanta, and then only we can deal with death in an earthly manner and as well as a spirit manner. You understand, where there is no death and no birth. But at that time we forget. We have no Shraddha in the scriptures. We have no Shraddha in the teacher. Then what will happen is, even though we have a so-called guru, that guru is of no help. It is cosmetic. So that time we say, go back and cultivate Shraddha. You follow? So this Shraddha has to be shown. Then what happens is, because the Guru is teaching to the same people, but different people are benefiting and are speeded up or retarded in their growth of evolution based upon more or lack of Shraddha. Are you following? Now, Shraddha is a word that terrifies a lot of people because they think, especially when it's coming from an Indian person to Westerners, that this person is converting me into a slave. But those of you who are regulars here know that I am your slave. Do you agree? Yeah. Because a true guru would be, if I am a guru, but I agree that a part of me is a teacher to all of you and I try to live up to it. A true guru is not trying to exploit you. A true guru is at your service, selfless. But the guru may say some hard words. The guru may say what others won't say to us because that is what we need to hear. And a guru may say that this is what you need, this is what you don't need, now you need to be active, now you need to be married. One of my students who was willing to give up the whole life and become some kind of renunciate was told by me to become quiet and get married, and she did. And now she's like wiping diapers and all of that. Okay, so Shraddha, unflinching faith, and so one has to, we are all cynical and we are born to be, and we are hurt, and so we become very protective. But at some point we have to start surrendering to Shastras, classical text, to elders who have shown to be helpful to us, and to guru-like people. Similarly, there are people who study Ayurveda for years, and Abhiji will agree, but when it comes to the first cold, they will take some anti-allergic in their nose. And there are some people whose kidney may be failing, and they will say, that's okay, I will take whatever medication Ayurveda says and the rest I will... You understand? Like unflinching faith in what you have. And the more faith we have, the more confidence we have. Then the last one is samadhana. And samadhana is like a state of single pointed concentration. The English translation of this shloka. So Shraddha is Shlok 25, the holding on to the knowledge of the truth of the scriptures, and the Guru's teaching is called faith, the holding on to it. It is by means of this that reality is grasped. Okay. The final one is the continual holding on to the awareness of God, or the truth alone is known as concentration, samadhana, not just mental self-gratification through the senses. So what is the difference between samadhana and shama in the beginning? Shama state is brought, we have understood muhur again and again. We have to pull the mind back from its places where it goes visiting, back to its source. Whereas in samadhan, there is a constant dwelling in this place. So there is a continued state of peace. Are you following? Continued state of calmness. And so imagine, this is not even a guru. This is a seeker. So the seeker is in a state of samadhana, peaceful state. The vessel has become pure. It has disengaged through viveka from where it was caught up. Boyfriends, girlfriends, this, that problem, this problem. And it has separated from it. Brahma Satyam Jagana Mithya. Yes, this is Mithya. I am. And then I have disengaged, Vairagya. My mind runs to my burning house, but I bring it back, Shama. My senses want to open the iPad while she's talking. I withdraw my fingers. Then Titiksha. I dwell there. I continue. I keep staying there. And then Uparati. Then Titiksha. Because of that, I have tremendous endurance power over the dualities that are afflicting me. Other people are running helter-skelter, and I'm beginning to see through it, the changeable states of things. And after that, I'm just like having increasing faith. And I'm driving overnight to reach the satsang. I'm doing what it takes to fulfill the word of the scripture. Scripture here doesn't mean the holy scripture and if you don't, you will burn in hell. No. These are scriptures means they have benefited mankind. Be it of any race, color, age. That kind of text. Grantha, which contains truth for everyone. It's like a overflowing vessel, and whoever takes little bit, even if you never come back, this little piece is universal. You apply it and your life improves. So I do what it takes to upkeep it. And it's called Shraddha. And my teacher, if my teacher has said, you be here, I'm there. Means, of course, life situation may be there that I was coming and something came up, this, that. But my intention is to keep what my teacher says to me. And so Shraddha used to be tested in the Gurukul tradition, and often when a student came and said, Baba, can I study with you? My grandfather would say, look at them and then just turn away. And then he would see 1 year later that person still wants to study with Baba. If they are still there, then they can move up a few inches. So Shraddha is tested and shown over time. And after a while, due to this constant faith, that is why we are partaking of the scriptures, that is why we are listening to the teacher, and it's constantly going into us. We reach a state of samadhan, a calm, composed, clean, pure, non-restless student is sitting, and now we are talking and dialogue begins. And transmission takes place at that time. Not just, okay, every time, here is some more, repeat, handle, counsel, talk, and next day again, few months later, few weeks later, student is again devastated. Why? Because the world got to it. The pussycat scared me. But you are a tiger. I forgot. Why you forgot? Because of lack of Shraddha. And lack of practices. So therefore Shraddha is very important, and we say Shraddhavan labate jnanam, the one who has Shraddha will get jnana, knowledge, and the one who doesn't have Shraddha will be lost. They may have a guru, they may have many opportunities, they may have this human birth, they may encounter some great personalities. There were people who even met in their living lifetime, peoples like Swami Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, Buddha. Buddha. There are some historical accounts. Tata, my father, was telling me where certain students did a revolt against Buddha, a human figure, and walked away from Buddha and questioned him. And so there are people who you encounter souls and you encounter helpful people, but their cynicism and ego and their desire to do what they want. So these are not. These are learning. Everybody will learn, but these are going to take a long time to ripen on the same tree of the Gurukul or in the community, whereas some fruit will ripen in the right season and fall away and separate. You follow? You understand? So with this, we have now 5 minutes of Q&A as per the new protocol set by Tueri. So any questions, comments?
How do you cultivate Shraddha though? How do you cultivate faith?
The faith is cultivated through Shravanam, listening. Even by listening to this piece, and who is listening? Then again the process starts. Who is listening? Is my ear listening? My ego listening? My adaptive personality is listening? Why is my jiva here? And what does it mean for my Atman, which wants to be free, moksha? So Shraddha comes from again and again performing discrimination, that this, when I use this knowledge in life, it sets me more free, and when I do not apply this knowledge, I get more bound. So again, they're all interconnected. So let's stop at Shraddha, right? And the next fourth quality is moksha, which is freedom. And I've already discussed in previous satsang that freedom is our true nature. That is why we are all crying, fighting, rebelling, and even murdering for freedom. Do you agree? So we want to be free, but the more we try to be free, the more we get caught up. It's like you are in an ocean of jello and you're swimming, but you're sinking. And the more you splash your hands, the more yucky and sticky you get. Do you realize that? Yeah. So, but according to Vedanta, the more you experience this jello, as we go further, doesn't really exist. And as you start separating, you are actually free, and you always were. So what happens is, first you come to Shravanam. Satsang is a very important tool. Unless and until you have the right teacher and you have the right knowledge to listen to, you will not have the Shraddha. So if you are not asked to have blind faith. So again, it all comes back to Viveka, discrimination. There are certain sources of knowledge which promise us power, which promise us so-called freedom, but it bounds us. Do you agree? There are many religions that promise us heavens, but they bound us. Do you agree? And then there are certain teachings which may not have God in them, but they free us. Do you agree? So it's like we have to constantly see what is bringing us closer to our true nature. And our true nature is Satya Chittananda. We are eternal, we are blissful, and we are wisdom, knowledge incarnate. We are not ignorant to begin with. And that is why the more we grow, the more we know, the more it is not like we buy some light from outside. Our inner light seems to become sharper and sharper. Have you seen that? Many of you, by being here at Vedika even for 2 months, you have seen that your light has grown by 30%. Do you agree, yes or no? Yes. So how do I have more faith? By being with my teacher and doing Shravanam, which is listening right now, and then doing Mananam, thinking and contemplating, and then applying the knowledge, Nididhyasanam, in my day-to-day life. Then when I apply this knowledge, I see, oh my God, I controlled my mind from going wild on me and thinking all these negative things, but I practiced Shama. I was about to once again slap my kid or my dog or my neighbor, as my life be, and I controlled my hand. Or I was about to raise my voice and I saw that I'm the master. I have to bring in my senses. You follow? And it seems to be changing the quality of my life. It seems to be making me happier, better, healthier, more popular person. Then who is the source of this? My teacher. What is the source of this knowledge? Such and such text, such and such. and as a result, I will develop more faith and more faith into this system. And actually, how do we develop Shraddha? When we find, even our day-to-day life, we find that a certain route takes us to our office sooner. Do we not like to use that route? Do we not? When we find that a certain food settles with our body better. Many of you ate Indian Ayurvedic cooking for the first time in the 2-month course here. And then you took to it like the fish it takes to water. Do you agree? And some of the visiting people here, Indian professors, the ones who come occasionally, said, "Oh, Shunyaji, how did you convert all these people to these foods?" I mean, it's really hard for me to convert to pasta, I said, I don't have to do anything. When this khichdi and this takra and this kushmandi goes into these people's body and starts singing inside their body, they want it. Do you agree? Yes. Similarly, when the knowledge and the source of the knowledge starts making you a star in your life rather than this pathetic, miserable victim, okay, that's good enough for you to now start having faith. Faith means being open, being open after realistic examination of knowledge and its source. Even Charak has said how to examine the teacher, how to examine the grantha being taught. Yes, Abhiji? And once you've had that, have complete faith. Then don't waver. And so how do you have faith? By having faith. And the first step is satsang, and that is why for my teachers, Baba and Bade Baba, satsang was an important aspect, and there are not enough satsangs, and a lot of satsangs are more about, they're not enough satsangs, let's just say that. There's just not enough satsangs in this world today, where nothing is needed from you except for you to grow in your own vessels and grow beyond them, to recognize who you are. I'm not teaching you pure Vedanta. I'm not talking that jargon right now. I'm just talking as if you were a beginning lay person and you say, yeah, I'm a spiritual student. Why? Because I've had this and I've had that. I had a patient who came to see me, and I get many of these people who say, Shunyaji, I had a spiritual breakthrough, and then I was hospitalized just for 3 weeks, the mental hospital. Spiritual breakthrough and hospitalization in the psychiatric department. And then when they come back, they're trying to convince me that I'm channeling this goddess and Durga and Shiva and this and that, and I'm sprouting this knowledge. And then I curl up like a fetus and cry at night. Why? I'm suffering for the whole world. Oh dear. What is showing is that you might be ready for some breakthrough, but you don't have Guru. And you don't have fundamentals of ABCD of this sadhana, chatushtay. It all begins with Shama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha, and such. There is not even the discrimination between who am I and what voice I am hearing. Anybody who hears a channel, and nowadays you have books and colleges which say how to channel, how to leave your body and have an out-of-the-world experience. Why? How about you teach how to be in this body and wash my dishes and be happy? That's a spiritual experience. So, I've seen, in Common Ground and all, full page ads on how to have an out-of-body experience. New course opening now. Alright? So I'm so surprised, and these things are all called spirituality because they don't have the basic, and Vedanta teaches us reality. You want to be spiritual? Let's just see if you can start bringing your mind back from what is transient to what is real. So simple case of telling that person that, if it was a true spiritual experience, it would not come and go and be removed by chain interspersed with so much darkness and so much violence. That means it's changeable. And what is changeable is not real. And you can't take it to bank and you can't invest in it. Oh my God, yes. But you are that. But first you have to understand what you are not. And so when we invest into this personality, we start having grandiose ideas or very low ideas or very changeable ideas. And then, in today's world, it is also often couched as spirituality. And but it begins with, that's why you remember the second shloka, the Nar Janama Durlabh Mata, how rare is the human birth. Rarer still, is the ability to have Guru, ability, and to have not only encounter with Guru but to have mumukshutvam, where I actually want to benefit from that Guru. I want freedom and I want my true nature. I know I have something deeper, but yet I get all caught up, And then I not only have this, but I have a path, Vedic Marga Dharma Parata. And I not only have a path which is pedagogic and full of jargon and do this and 12 steps and 9 steps and 6 rituals, but I have anubhava. I have experience of it. I don't just hear about it, but I start experiencing some non-changing, permanent experience within me. And then from that, I'm able to experience my true self. There's an opening. And then I become truly free. So there is a whole chain. And so not every human being, I have mentioned to you about, we've been talking about birth and this and that human birth is rare, to get a teacher is rare. So the more we have satsang, the more we are with our teacher, the more faith we will have. And that is why I tell the students, they say, what can I do? What should I do? I just say, show up. Just show up and start doing Shravanam. And when a sincere teacher is teaching, I don't know how good I am, but you can go to bank on my sincerity. That is all I can talk about at this point today. So when a sincere person is teaching, even my errors will become attributes, because sincerity will unfold to you what you already know deep inside. There is nothing being taught, no one is learning, and no one is teaching. That absolute is all there is. But till such time we are couched in ignorance, we think there is a teacher, there is a student, there is separation, there is this, that, and blah. And there is diversity and there is plurality, and at some point all of this knowledge is already contained within, and it just reminds you, why does it feel familiar? Do you agree? Because it is already what is. Nothing has changed, and only oneness is. So, till such time we are caught in Maya, we'll keep going details into that, into Mithya, we feel separate, and that is why holding on to the teacher, having Shraddha, and also testing the teacher. Testing the teacher in the beginning stages, or whenever you want. And if the teacher comes through, then it's time to break your ego on the rock of the teacher and get a few, slaps. And then somewhere we have to surrender. Have I answered? Okay. So with that we end. Jai Ma.